Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are gonna dive into my top 5 soft plastic bait modifications. Stuff that I do to make my baits stand out from other baits. There's a whole bunch of different variations and stuff, so we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna show you how I modify some of my favorite baits to catch more bass. We'll see you there. I like to specially rig this. I'm gonna show you the rigging. This worm is underwater, the head is down, and the tail is amazing. As you can see here, the open pore worm is really side of the worm tail, and I'm going to stick it in the very end.
Cold water is the Berkley Gilly. One, because it's a mix between.
Alright guys, so here's tip number 1, and it involves using toothpicks to make soft plastics stand up on the bottom. So here we have the Strike King bullworm. Big worm, awesome on a shaky head, awesome on a Carolina rig, but sinks to the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a toothpick and I'm going to insert it into the tail end of this worm. So what that's going to do is you literally take that toothpick, you're going to insert a good portion of it. The bigger the bait is, the bigger section of toothpick you want to cause it to float. Then what you're going to do once you have that inserted is make sure that that toothpick gets covered up. If you don't cover it up with plastic, it'll fall out. So I'm going to clip that with scissors right there. I'm going to finish inserting that in. And what it's going to do is it's going to cause that worm tail to give a very much more responsive action on the bottom. We're going to go to the underwater footage here, and you're really going to see what I'm talking about in terms of responsiveness on the bottom. You can see it's got that nice glide, it's got that amazing tail kick, and it's giving that nice pulse on the rise and lift of that. And what that's going to do is it just makes your worm or any soft plastic far more responsive on the bottom and does a great job in initiating that bite. All right guys, next up we have the Berkley Power Bait Gilly. I like to rig this as a soft swim bait. A straight shank worm hook all the way through here. And this one's got a keeper on it. I know you can see it there. It's the Berkley Fusion flipping hook. It's got that nice metal keeper on it. We're gonna rig it straight through the body like that. We're gonna add a 1/64 ounce nail weight right in the belly like this, so it's gonna run pretty much just like a real bluegill would run, and it's not overpowered. So let's get this thing rigged up here. First thing I want to do is I want to find that belly slot right there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rig this as straight as possible in the belly of this bait. And as I go in, I want to make sure I'm taking my time and I'm rigging it straight so it's going to run true. Right? As soon as I get it all the way in, I'm gonna pull back and kind of push this in just to make sure that it's staying straight in that bait, just like that. That way you don't see anything on it and it's gonna come through perfect, right? So it's gonna swim right now. Now we're gonna take this flipping hook and we're gonna rig it through, and I want it to come out pretty much in that hook gap right there. So take it, run it through really straight. There's kind of an empty pocket in there as you come through. You want to just make sure that that hook point is staying true and in that pocket, because you want this bait to run straight as an arrow. And as you come through, see how that runs like that? It's in that hook pocket there. So it's running straight into that bait. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press in and down as I go. And then I run that nose of that hook straight through there and down. And now you have a perfectly rigged bluegill that's going to swim great. And this is all meat right there. They're gonna catch that first. As they come in and hit that bait, boom, it's gonna run true as an arrow on that, and it's flipping hook. You ain't gonna bend that out. So there you go. All right guys, next up, we're going to worms. One of my favorite ways to rig these baits right here. Let's check it out. You got a number 4 offset hook, and then you've got a nail weight. And what I'm gonna do with this nail weight, that pagoda weight right there from Woo Tungsten, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna find the skinny side of the worm tail, and I'm gonna stick it in the very end. Now, what I'm creating here is a worm that's going to backslide into cover, right? So what I want this to do is that weight is going to be inside of that worm tail, right? Looks the same. Now I'm going to take it, I'm going to text pose this hook right here. This worm has a belly slot on it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that right there. Boom, out the belly. just like that. And then I'm gonna literally take this and slide it back up and in right there. So you have a backslide worm right there. What this worm is going to do is it's going to slide up into cover, up under docks. That worm is gonna fall just like that instead of lying down because the weight is now in the tail of that worm. Totally weedless, different look, great around docks, great around cover. Great way to catch fish. Easy, super simple modification. All right, guys. Next up, we have a swim bait modification that I love for small, tiny swim baits and light heads to make them cast farther and go deeper in the water column. So here we have a Storm Arashi swim bait. That's the 3-inch variety, and we have a Megabass Okashira head right here and a 3/16. This is a fantastic finesse presentation, but it's not that heavy. Right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rig this bait up here, punch it through straight away. So what we have here is a swim bait that's very small, very subtle, but it's not gonna cast super far. What I'm then gonna do is I'm gonna belly weight this swim bait, and I like the Okashira because it has a split belly, but it also has a thicker neck right here. So what I'm gonna do is insert this into that swim bait like so, right in the middle of the swim bait. And what I'm doing there is I'm adding another jig head basically on top of that one that's existing. It's not gonna change the action at all. It's just gonna make it better able to cast. Now, the next thing that I like to do on small swim baits like this is I like to take this dip it marker right here by Spike, and I wanna color the flat back of this tail. And I like to color these flat like that, because as that kicks through the water, it's gonna give an extra special flash to that swim bait. So what I get here is a nice chartreuse tail and a heavier swim bait on a lighter head that's gonna go farther, but still catch bass just like I want it to. Great modification to an existing swim bait that's going to make it even more versatile and make it cast farther. Awesome modification. It's going to be the line through fluke. Here we got a Zoom super fluke or a cream fluke or whatever. Now, what I like to do is I'm gonna run this straw right here up through the nose of this bait to create a pocket that a line comes through that I can then hook a treble hook through just like that. I really like to throw this bait when fish are schooling. It gives you kind of the opportunity to really make long casts, but to give, you know, fish a different look and feel, and the hookup ratio is crazy good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this straw and I'm gonna slide it through the nose just like that. Perfect, right? There's that straw sticking out. Here is that straw right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide this down and it preserves the straw, right? So I'm gonna use the end that's not pointed because I'm gonna keep using this straw for other things. So there we go. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this straw right there. Boom, just like that. Now, what I've essentially got is a literal pipe through the nose of that fluke. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my line and I'm gonna run it straight through the nose of this bait, just like that. And here we go. We got the line that's coming through. And then we're gonna tie off this treble hook right here. I always like red when fish are schooling. I like red hooks in general. I feel like they just get bit better. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie off this hook right here. We're gonna clip that. And what we're gonna do is run that line back through, and we're gonna take this and we're gonna embed that treble hook in that belly slot right there. And what you've got now is a fluke that is a line through swim bait. And what's gonna happen when a fish bites that? That slides up the line because it's free sliding. Free sliding bait, and voila, that fish has no ability to throw that bait because you have now made it a line through fluke right there. Boom, perfect. All right, here is one of my favorite river smallmouth baits of all time. You've got the double tail grub, you've got a football jig head without a skirt, and you've got a small blade attachment here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rig this double tail up on the football head. Double-tail grubs in rivers for smallmouth are undefeated. They literally get bit all year, no matter what. So there's your double-tail grub. Largemouth also love these on deep weed lines. Just throwing that out there. And I'm going to sweeten this deal. I'm going to take this. It's almost like a #1 size Colorado blade, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to embed this in the top of the double-tail grub. So as it goes through the water column, you can see there, it's got a blade flashing along with a double tail. That is a killer combination right there in rivers and streams for bigger than average smallmouth. They will totally chew that bait and eat it right there, and it's just going to get killed. Now, I like to do the same thing with the Berkley Havoc Pit Boss, right? I'm going to take that same bait, same principle, and I'm going to run this exact same rig, but with just a bigger than average bait on it. And where I like to throw this is on rocky points. And then I'm going to take this blade out, and I'm going to run the same thing right here, right up into that Pit Boss, right there. And then what I got is a nice blade that flashes in conjunction with that Pit Boss. Great modification there. Really have a lot of fun with this on rocky points. I learned to do this at Dale Hollow and Lake Cumberland, especially fishing at night. That gives it an extra thump right there. That nice blade in the middle of those pinchers, it gives it a nice thump. And when it hits the rocks, it'll give it a nice clack, just like that. Another great modification. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. It was a quick one. I like to modify my baits all the time. I feel like it gives me an edge in pressured situations or different situations. If you guys like what's happening on the channel, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Check out Omnia. We have all of our stuff linked there. It helps out the channel if you buy from us. Omnia Pro is an amazing app on the phone. It helps us a lot with our fishing and pregame and finding where we want to fish before we hit the lake. But give us a like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys out there next time.